Long ago, 7 Dragon Balls were forged and scattered over the face of the planet. Once united, the Eternal Dragon will be called forth to grant the Discoverer a single wish.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Shonen Archive Gaiden. What's Shonen Archive Gaiden? Well, I'm glad you asked. Shonen Archive is a show where me and Zenrot plan to watch every Shonen Jump anime available to us in English until we either finish or one of us perishes in some kind of nasty accident. Whichever one of those happens first, that's what's gonna be the deciding factor of what ends Shonen Archive. Currently, Zen is trapped in work hell, so I created Shonen Archive Gaiden as a side story to talk about some of the off-the-main-road Shonen Jump stuff while we wait for Zen to return to us. Today, I'm talking about something I've been wanting to talk about since we started Shonen Archive. Dragon Ball, Goku's Traffic Safety from 1988. So you're probably wondering, why the hell is there a Dragon Ball animated special about traffic safety? Well, let me try to explain. This might take a bit. There are 4 eras of traffic safety in Japan. The 1950s to the 1970s, 1970 to 1981, 1981 to 1992, and then we have 1992 to the present day. People called the first era the era of the traffic war, named that due to more people dying in it than the first Sino-Japanese war. Both the government and the people realized they had a full-blown crisis on their hand and needed to do something about the high fatality rates coming from traffic accidents. Then we have the second era, which was 1970 to 1981. Thanks to the introduction of better road facility measures, regulations, law enforcement, education, vehicle safety standards, and emergency medical care, the fatalities started to trend downward. Now we enter the third era, which is the era of Goku's Traffic Safety released in. Now from 1981 to 1986, there's a slight rise, but not by much. It wasn't until 1986, when Japan entered what's called the bubble economy, did the fatality rates start to skyrocket again. The reason why? Well, everyone had a fuck ton of money. When you got a fuck ton of money, you buy cars, man. I don't know. It is what you do when you got money. I'd buy a house, personally, but whatever. So that's how we finally get to where we are now with Goku's Traffic Safety. So that's the setup for this. Now on to the actual PSA. So the story goes as follows. Goku needs to get to Bulma's birthday party over in West City. He fights a tiger thief on a log and he points him in the direction of West City. While in the city, we see Roshi and Krillin, and they are lost, also trying to find Bulma's place. A boy is playing with a toy car and almost gets run over by a bear in a speeding truck. Somehow the kid doesn't instantly get killed, and instead just his toy car does. A traffic agent lady who looks a lot like Launch and might be Launch, but some people seem to think that she isn't, even though she shares the same VA and looks exactly the same, appears. She gives safety tips to the kid and to the bear. And then Krillin and Roshi ask her for directions to Bulma's place because, I don't know, she seems like she knows what she's doing. She just yelled at a bear and she yelled at a boy. She has to know the way to Bulma's place. This makes perfect sense to me. Goku, on his way to the party, finds Suno, that little girl from the Red Ribbon Army arc. If you remember Dragon Ball, please watch Dragon Ball. I swear it's not just all fight. Please just watch original Dragon Ball. And asks her for directions. She's mad because Goku, a kid who has been living most of his life up in the mountains, doesn't respect traffic safety, kinda just jumping onto oncoming traffic to get to her. She helps Goku because she also has a cousin that lives in West City and she needs to meet up with him anyway, so they get there, and Shinseki almost gets run over, but Goku saves him with the Power Bowl. The traffic lady shows up again to say, yo, don't run into the street, and teaches Goku about spotlights. Because apparently that's just something you don't need to know about in the mountains. He learns it here. They finally make it to Bulma's party, and Goku ruins the party by eating all the food, and they all chase him out, trying to, I don't know, I guess beat him up. It is Goku, so I don't know how effective that's going to be. But then the traffic lady shows up one more time just to make sure that they don't run into the streets. And then we get a rendition of Mystical Adventure, which I guess has now been retooled to be about traffic safety law, which is, that's fine. I guess traffic safety in its own is an adventure. I had an adventure looking up all these things about traffic safety. I had no idea that it was so intensive. So that's a special. There are actually 2 Dragon Ball PSAs, with the other one being called Goku's Fire Brigade. another PSA that I've been wanting to talk about, but I'm also saving that for later. In terms of quality, I mean, it's a PSA. It looks like an old Dragon Ball episode, and it's not horribly animated. The voice actors are there that you would expect to be there. Nothing too crazy, nothing too silly. I also watched this without any subs. The reason being is that I couldn't find any. So I was still able to learn about not getting hit by traffic just because of the actions on screen. It's not the hard story to follow at all. Though I'm sure a version exists that actually has subs in them. So I'd say it's probably pretty effective. Yeah, I'll give it a stamp of approval if this worked out. I also really do like that they made a special version of Mystical Adventure, which I just can't emphasize enough. Is a very silly thing to do, but I also think it's very fun. So yeah, enjoyable 15 minutes of fun, I'd say. If you got 15 minutes of time and you like Dragon Ball, it's definitely a thing from this era that you can watch and experience and be like, I had no idea that Dragon Ball ever did this. Circling back to the beginning, did this actually help with Japan's issues with traffic? Well, by 1992, the fatalities had decreased, but the amount of accidents actually increased. So that goes beyond my knowledge of how something like that actually happens, but, you know, it happened. In the early 2000s, though, traffic accidents started to go down. Very unlikely due to Goku's traffic safety, but, you know, I'll lie and say it was because of Goku's traffic safety. Deal with it. The power scaling goes, Goku was able to single-handedly stop a lot of traffic accidents. Which makes sense, because a lot of the highest traffic accidents in Japan around those times were like kids, think the elderly. So at least one of those demographics were watching Dragon Ball, so it makes a lot of sense. And that's Shonen Archive, everyone. Now we come to the part where it's no longer scripted. Hello, thank you very much for watching this video. Very different from the ones that we usually do, because I felt like doing something different, and also because there's a lot of information here. That I felt like if I was gonna give it in my normal cadence of being like, hey man, here's this information, it wouldn't work as well. So I tried to do something a little bit different. Hope you liked it. Not to say that it's always gonna be like that, I guess, unless you like it that way. I don't know. It takes a lot of time and effort, and also my voice is very scratchy, as you can probably hear from me saying it there. I don't know why I decided to get a cold today of all days that I have to record, but there we go. I also have all the information. There's actually a lot of information about traffic stuff that I couldn't fully cover here. I did not know that traffic safety was such an issue in Japan, but I thought it was extremely fascinating. So if you want to continue reading it on your own, a lot of the information I got from this video, and also a lot of the graphs, comes from this specific website. So feel free to check them out. It should be linked down below, and some of the graphs you can probably see in the video. And yeah, so again, Zen, hopefully, he said he's still working in work hell, so hopefully 2 weeks from now, he'll check again to see if it's possible. He said a few weeks, so we'll see. And hopefully soon we can get back to Gintama. But in the meantime, I'll continue looking at a bunch of different Shonen Jump stuff. If you have anything that you feel is worth weirdly looking into, feel free to leave it down below. I have a decent list of stuff to go through, but I'll always be interested to hear what other people have to say. Doesn't even have to be one of the series that we really talk about in Shonen Archive so far, especially since, you know, obviously we haven't done... Actually, we did do Dragon Ball. We did the Gohan one. But yeah, anyway, that's the end of the video, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for sticking with Shonen Archive. And that's the end of Shonen Archive Gaiden, everyone. I think it's time to say goodbye.